So today is, and I have to correct, look, forgive me, I'm not the greatest Hebrew scholar, but sometimes I hear some Hebrew and it's like, it's a tongue, it's an unknown tongue. It's not, this holy day is not named after a song from Mary Poppins. It's not Shimini, Shimini, it's not Shemini. It's not Shemini. Nor is it a character from Pinocchio. It's not Shimini Crickets. Okay? It's Shmini. Can you say Shmini? That's 8. Shmini. Well, you're looking at me like I don't know? You didn't know. Shmini. You don't pronounce the Shemini. It's not, that's silent. The E is silent. Shmini. You ready for the second one? No, the first one messed us all up. Atzeret. And all it means is the 8th day. And I know that there's scholars that think they know all about it, but the Bible's pretty silent on it. There's a lot of writings, and maybe some of those writings are accurate. Maybe some of those aren't. Did you ever think that maybe they're not? So let's go back to the one who we can trust, okay? And just see what it says, and then take it from there. Okay, because today most of you are not going to work, right? So it's a good day. I like when I don't have to go to work. I worked for a boss downtown, and you can imagine what I was like before the Lord? No, you can't. I wasn't mean, I wasn't malicious, and I was very, very, very protective of people who couldn't protect themselves. I always helped the underdog. I had the coolest friends in the Bronx, but if somebody picked on somebody, boy, you better believe I got between them. And when that kid was picked on and abused, he became my best friend. I always took him under my wing because I felt terrible for him. With that being said, let's go to Leviticus 23, 33 through 36. This is the end of our feast. This is the end of Leviticus 23. We're at the end of the fall feast here of Sukkot. And it says, Adonai said to Moshe, tell the people of Israel, on the 15th day of this 7th month is the feast of Sukkot, which was 8 days ago. For 7 days. So the feast of Sukkot is how long? 7 days. On the first day, there is to be a Holy Convocation, which we did last Thursday, right? Do not do any kind of ordinary work. So how many people took off today? Good for you. Isn't it nice not to have to go to work? There was times I called my boss and said, hey, Jeff, it's Greg. Yeah, Greg, what's up? I'm not coming in today. You sick? No, I feel great. He goes, why aren't you coming in? I said, I feel too good to come to work. I didn't have sick days. I had well days. On the first day, there is to be a Holy Convocation. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. Ordinary work. Now remember, that's not, some people get so rabbinical, I feel for you. Really, I watch you. I was raised in it. I was raised with gates around gates till it was so silly, you know? Like, let's not fly on Shabbat and pick up some people who are going to be killed because that's dishonoring the Shabbat. Listen to me, guys. Our God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, is all about life. If you're hiding Jews in these last days, and somebody comes and says you're hiding Jews, you don't go, well, I'm not supposed to lie, so yes, they're in the basement. That's just stupid. You understand? Don't be so fundamental. Analyze, think, use your cognitive thinking, okay? I know you've been raised very fundamental with dogma, and just get rid of all that. Come on, shake it off. Shake it off. For 7 days you ought to bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. Now, did we do that? No, we didn't really do that for 7 days. We didn't do that every day, really. We didn't do that every day. On the 8th day, you would have a holy convocation. Okay, that's today. Okay? And bring an offering made by fire to Adonai. We did that today. It is a public assembly. We're doing that. Do not do any kind of ordinary work. Can I do some other work? Yeah, sure you can. Sure you can. Is this ordinary for me? No, because I only have the 8th day celebration once a year, so this is definitely not ordinary. Because you might say, well, you're working. No, this is not ordinary for me. Ordinary would be to be in the office or to be meeting with people. So this isn't ordinary. This really isn't ordinary. I say these things because there's always those people that are so technical, they miss the forest for the trees. Those are antagonists of the faith. They're so technical that they don't even realize that who gets everything right? Who understands everything? The Bible clearly says we see in part. That's all of us, right? Now, I'm not saying because you only see in part, don't get anything right. Get as much right as you possibly can. But stop nitpicking about everybody else. Get what you got right. Get it right. Get it right for you. How's that? and I'm trying to get it right for me, and let's try to get it right together. So, this is Shemini Atzeret, literally the 8th day assembly. It's Tishrei 22 or October 16th, which is today. It started at sundown last night. It's Holy Convocation and gathering in addition to the 7 days of Sukkot. It's an addition. Is it part of Sukkot? Not really. It's at the end of Sukkot. Sukkot is for 7 days. So what are we supposed to do? Okay, the 8th day celebration. It goes back to agriculture and it goes back to the land of Israel. The 8th day celebration marks the beginning of Israel's winter rainy season. Okay? It's very important because if you get no rains in the winter, what happens in the spring? You get no food. And they didn't have great irrigation 3,400 years ago. And there was really bad irrigation in the desert. Think about it, guys. They were in the desert for 38 years. It's not really 40. They were traveling for 40 years, but they were really in the desert for 38. You'll see that in the Bible because it looks like an apparent discrepancy. So for 38 years they're in the desert. You don't grow a lot of food. I don't know. Has anybody spent any time in the desert? I have. There's not a lot of food to be had in the desert, right? True? So think of how much they had to be totally dependent on God. Not a little dependent. Today we have irrigation and we have, stores. It's a whole different ball game, okay? So you have to go back and put yourself where they were. And so it marks Israel's winter rainy season. For 7 days of Sukkot, every day for 7 days, not the 8th day, 7 days, a specific Kohen, a priest, not the Levites, they cleaned stuff up. They were the lower level of the priesthood. But the priests, the Aaronic line, the priests, they would assign one priest per day to go down to the pool of Siloam. Now, who's going to Israel? I will take you to the pool of Siloam. I'll show you the pool. They've uncovered it recently. It's very recent. Yeah. And it's not amazing except for the fact that, wow, that was there since the beginning of time, and this is what they used. They would go to the pool of Siloam. They would get an urn of water, usually some people gold pitcher to represent deity, to represent God. Righteousness is represented by silver. Judgment is represented by brass. That's why you had a brazen altar. Okay? So they would get a gold pitcher, and they'd be led by flute players, and the priest would be playing instruments, and they'd bring it up the Temple Mount, which we'll walk up the Temple Mount. And they'd bring it to the temple area. They'd deliver it to the Kohen Hagadol. He would say a bracha, a prayer. He's the high priest, and he would pour it out on the altar. Okay? Because they were praying for rain. Real simple. What you may not know is since the destruction of the temple, 70, some people like AD, Anno Domini, some people like CE, Common Era, I don't really care, 70, okay? Since 70, the temple was destroyed by Titus in Rome. This has not happened, but it happened this week for the first time in almost 2,000 years. Now, you might not understand the magnitude of that, and my condolences. But when 1,000 Jews and the priests set up in the garments, the actual garments because they have them, and they already have the Aaronic line, and they go down to the pool of Siloam, and they're singing before dawn, and they bring it up the Temple Mount, and they make an altar, and they give it to the high priest, and he pours it. Let me tell you something, Yeshua is on the way. It's really rich. Now, you could say, well, why didn't they do it last year? I don't know. I guess because God told them to do it this year. And it was really, I watched it, it was really rich. I mean, because I've been preaching this stuff for 25 years, and most people are like, whatever. But it's not whatever anymore. And I also know that the true body of believers, for the first time, are really praying for Yeshua's return when they never did. They started in the first century, when are you going to return? And then it doesn't matter, except for those who are maybe going through hell on earth, right? And things were good for a long time. Now they're not so good, so what do we need? We know nobody's going to fill that role as president that's going to do the right thing. It's not possible because the best of men are men at best. And you start with good intentions, but a little bit of power and a little bit of rubbing elbows and a little bit of lobbyists, and you know what? You fall. It's just the way it is. So there is one coming who's going to have the government on his shoulders, and that's going to be the only one that's going to bring forth a true White House. He's going to bring purity and justice back. So this is the one we're praying for. So I think it's unbelievably interesting what's going on. For somebody like me who's part of this prophetic movement, it's not a denomination of Christianity. People ask me all the time, how did an Orthodox Jew become a Christian pastor? I'm not a Christian pastor. I'm a Messianic rabbi. No offense, but that's who I am. Well, your denomination is part of Christianity? Not really. First of all, the denomination, if you want to call it a denomination, it started in the 1st century in 33. It was just a bunch of Jews who stayed Jews who believed that the Messiah, Yeshua, Jesus, was the king of the Jews. That's how it started. And it was a prophetic movement back then. Back then they were talking prophecy. That's all they talked about was prophecy. That's why they were so eager to share the gospel, because they knew Yeshua was coming soon. If they were so eager 2,000 years ago to share the gospel because they believe Yeshua is coming soon, how much more eager should we be? And the fact remains we're not. We'd rather go places and get a little feeling than just get out there in the trenches. And so we're living in a day. Now, the last day of the feast, the 7th day, is known as what? What's the 7th day of Sukkot? Not the 8th day, not today. What's the 7th day known as? Hosana Rabba. And that just means the great Hosana, the great salvation. On the 7th day, 7 is a number that is spiritual perfection in the Bible in Gematria. So on the 7th day of Sukkot, it's Hosana Rabba, the great Hosanna. You all right? The water pouring accompanied by priests blowing gold trumpets. Now they're blowing gold trumpets. Levites were singing sacred songs. Lay people, non-priests, were waving the lulavs and the etrogs. I mean, thousands of thousands. And all the people are chanting the Hallel Psalms, the high songs, Psalm 113 and 118. I mean, just picture it, okay? In the Mishnah, everybody familiar with the Mishnah? Part of the Talmud? Sukkot, it's broken up by category in the Mishnah. Sukkot 5:1, it says, quote, he who had never seen this ceremony, the Hosana Rabbah, had never seen true joy. There's nothing like it. And guess who was doing all the dancing? The men. The women didn't dance. The men took the lead. It was all men dancing. So you've got all these men and all these priests and all these people, thousands upon thousands in Israel, shaking their lulavs and their edrogs and bringing the water up and pouring, and it's the party of all parties. It's really the party of all parties. But I'm here to tell you that on this day, they weren't only praying for natural rain. They were more importantly praying for supernatural rain, R-E-I-G-N. Truly, truly, if you watch the ceremony that they did this week, the people aren't just praying for rain. They're praying for Messiah to come. They're trying to pray out Isaiah 12, 1 through 3, when Israel is safe and saved. And the high priest is going, he grabs the gold pitcher from the pool of Siloam and he goes, V'shaftem mayim bisason, and all the people yell. Thousands of people in Israel, Imanea Yeshua. And I'm saying, you don't exactly know what you're saying, but I know what you're saying. You follow? They're praying for Messiah to come. Now, get this perspective. The non-believing Jews, the traditional Jews, are praying harder for Mashiach to come than the Christian community. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that ironic? The Christian community are only starting to pray for Messiah to come. They didn't want Messiah to come. They just wanted to know that they were going. When they died, they had a place in the heavenlies. They didn't want Messiah to come because when things are going good, you don't really want Messiah to come because, hey, my son's getting married next year. Who does that sound like? Listen to me, guys. Listen to me. Okay? This is informal. Mrs. Lot, remember? Her kids were getting married. Her husband was a big shot. He was rich. How do I know that? Because he was selling beef. And what do people eat when they have a lot of money? Beef. They don't eat beans. And so they were rich, and they had this gala event planned. And she didn't want to leave. Remember? She looked back. She couldn't leave the world. She couldn't leave that. And Yeshua says, remember Lot's wife. about the last days, remember? Remember Lot, 3 words, and those 3 words are so powerful. So powerful. They're singing, "Come, Messiah," because they know Israel is under siege. They have no money. They've put all their money in security, and they can't securitize the area anymore. They can't do it on their own. They need Mashiach to come. They need Mashiach to fight for them. They know it. They're feeling it because they're spiritual people. Although they don't believe in Yeshua, they're spiritual people. They believe in God. And they're hearing God. And as they're crying out, didn't he say, when you cry out, I will come? The nation is being prepared to receive. Yeshua used to celebrate the Feast of Atonement. He's going to be their Feast of Atonement. See, it's a corporate thing. The nation has to declare him to be king. David couldn't be on the throne until the nation of Israel came together and said, you're our king. They're coming together in your day. And listen to me, that is so dang exciting, guys. And you know what the frustration is for me? And I'm not that frustrated. I can't make you excited about it. No matter how, and I couldn't try any harder. But this is the greatest thing. You're living in the greatest day. The most important thing right now, the most important thing is Israel. The restoration of the land, the restoration of the people back to the land, and the restoration of the people back to the Lord. Then Messiah comes. And the neat thing is you're part of a ministry that's all it's about. Messianic Judaism isn't trying to get a bunch of Gentiles not to eat pork. That's what you might think. It's not. It's about bringing Messiah back. And that's a lot more important than what you eat. Anybody with me? All right. Let's just go over this one more time, okay, before we leave. Let's look at John 7:2. Okay? The festival of Sukkot in Judah was near. So, clearly, I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but what festival is it? Many of the other versions will say the Jewish feast. No. These are not Jewish feasts. They're the Lord's feasts. Just know that. You're not celebrating Jewish feasts. You're celebrating the Lord's feast. And if you're with the Lord, then those feasts should be with you. Not saying anything more. I'm not going to badge the witness. I don't care what you do. Listen to me. I don't really care if you celebrate or not. It's not going to change my walk. It's not going to change who God is. I'm putting it out there and have at it. Is that fair? And I'm not saying I don't care like I don't care. Of course I care, but I'm saying it's up to you. You're big boys and big girls, and there's big boys and big girls watching, and it's up to you. Now, let's move down John 7 to verses 14 through 18. And this is really cool. Not until the festival was half over, so it's right smack in the middle of Sukkot, did Yeshua go up to the temple courts and begin to teach. Listen to me. Do you think if he wasn't a well-respected rabbi, he would get into the temple courts of Jerusalem? They wouldn't let a Gentile in the parking lot of a little synagogue in the Galilee. There was a court of Gentiles. They were locked in a court. And these were those that immersed themselves in Judaism. These were the Gerim, and they were still locked in a room. You think they'd let a guy come into the temple courts in Jerusalem on one of the greatest festivals there is known to man and teaching if he wasn't a legitimate Jewish rabbi who is highly regarded? The way I know that is cross-reference in Luke 4:16. It says he taught in the temple on Shabbat, which was what he did usually, and he was highly regarded by all. He was called rabbi over 50 times in the Gospels. So we got it? It's very important. Gentiles understand who he is. Jews understand who he is. Stop putting the wall back up. Amen. The Judeans were surprised. Why were they surprised? They knew about him. They knew who he was. And this is what took them by surprise. How does this man know so much without having studied? Some people study all the time and they know so little. They just regurgitate things they study. Listen to me. Wikipedia should not be your source of information. There's no check. So they asked him. So Yeshua gave them an answer. Listen to the answer. How do you know so much? You did not study in Jerusalem. We know who you are. We know you're a rabbi up in the Galilee. It's just, listen, Israel's small, guys. Israel's the size of Metro Atlanta. Metro Atlanta. Not Georgia, which isn't even the biggest state. And the United States isn't the biggest country. It's tiny. If you are in Jerusalem, you know people in the Galilee. There also wasn't 8 million people living there like today. There's almost 9 million. There was not that many people. You don't think they knew who the rabbis were? They knew who he was, but they knew he wasn't trained by the scholars in Jerusalem. What good could come out of Nazareth? I'm here to tell you I have no problem with education. I'm well educated. But if that's all you are, you're in trouble. If all you got is book smart, you're in trouble. This is his answer. My teaching is not my own. It comes from the one who sent me. If anyone wants to do his will, he always answered a question with a question. He was 100% Jewish. He threw it back to them. If anyone wants to do his will, meaning forget about my teaching for a minute. You really want to do my Father's will? You really want to do God's will? Is that what you want? Or you want to ask questions? Are you really wanting to do God's will? Or do you want to just have it all figured out? Let's cut to the chase. Is that how you start your day in the morning? Father, I just want to do your will today. Or do you have your agenda? Some of you have so much of an agenda, God couldn't break in with a jackhammer to your agenda. That's why you're dry. You're running and doing, but not necessarily connecting. And he can't break into your world. He loves you, and I don't doubt that you're saved. But he can't break into your world. You're too busy. Doesn't mean you should sit around and do nothing, but he can't break in. Look, God, I've got a 9 o'clock appointment, then I got to be here at 11, then I got to be there at 3, then I got to pick this up. I understand we're all busy, but he can't ask you to do anything because you're not available. And this is what Satan wants. If he can't get you to sin, he'll get you to be busy. Now, do I know about busy? Oh my God. It's insane. I'm starting to train my son for his bar mitzvah, and I should have been doing this months and months and months ago. I'm a rabbi, for God's sakes. I'm just trying to help you out as I'm trying to help me out. I'm not saying don't do nothing and just sit around. Oh, la-di-da. I'm just saying that connect. God's not going to mess you up. He's not going to tell you don't go to work for a week and you lose your job. He's not going to do that. I'm just saying you got to connect. You got to connect. My teaching is not, if you want to do his will, he didn't even say my Father's will, he will know whether my teaching is from God or I speak on my own. He's saying if you really are connected to God, if you really know God, if you really know his word, you will know whether I'm of him or not. Those that aren't connected, they have no ability to discern. They're so burnt out that they don't even know how to discern, so they take this route. I'm just trusting nobody. Anybody know what I'm talking about? I trust nobody. Everybody's full of it, and you trust nobody because you don't even trust yourself. There's discernment. There's discernment. It's a gift of the Holy Spirit. There's discernment, the ability to know. So he says, if you're of God, then you'll know if I'm of God. That's pretty rich right there. A person who speaks on his own, meaning not of God, is trying to win praise for who? When I hear people go, I go to so-and-so's church, I just thought to, I feel like Michael Jackson in the Thriller video. Because it's not his. A person who speaks on his own is trying to win praise for himself, but a person who tries to win praise for the one who sent him is honest. There's nothing false about him. In other words, Yeshua was so concerned about serving God. Today, we're concerned about catering to men. We're in the catering business. What do you need? We'll cater to you. What do you need, buddy? What do you need? What kind of ministry? You know what you need? You need the Lord, man. You need to connect with God. You need to hear his voice. You need to be filled by the Holy Spirit. You need to that's what you need. You follow? You don't need to be catered to. You've been catered to all too much. This whole world caters to men. But Yeshua's like, I love you, but I'm not catering to you. I appreciate all that you want. That's sweet, okay? But I'm not Santa. And Yeshua would say over and over again, I only do what the Father tells me. 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 It's amazing. Amazing. He was amazing. Amazing. Okay, let's go down a little bit more. I like talking about him, okay? I like talking about him. He's my hero. He's my model. He's my Messiah. I love him. I love the man he was. He was straight up. He didn't lie. He didn't compromise. He didn't placate. He didn't jerk around. I try to be like him. I know I fall incredibly short, but that's who I look to. I like his humanness because it was so perfect. Some of the Jerusalem people said, isn't this the man they're out to kill? Like, isn't this the guy they've been talking about? Because they've been talking about him in Jerusalem. This is towards the end. And they're talking about him. They're out to get him. And they're like, what? They don't see why they don't like him. They can't, you follow what I'm saying? Why are you guys murmuring how bad he is? What is he doing so bad? What he's doing so bad is he's pissing you off because he's calling you on the crap that's in your heart. And you can't handle it. Isn't this the man they're out to kill? Yet, here he is speaking openly. He's not hiding. He's not speaking with a forked tongue. He's just speaking openly and honestly and truthfully. And they don't even say anything to him. If he's so wrong, why don't they call him on it? See, they're just thinking it through. They're thinking on their own. They're questioning because they're Jews. They're not taking what the leaders are saying as the gospel. They're thinking, which is what I've tried to get you to do for 12 years. To think and believe so that you know that you know that you know, and nobody's going to rock your beliefs. Now, listen to this. This is just, come on, I'm going to go nuts. I'm going to break something. It couldn't be, could it, that the authorities have actually concluded he's the Messiah? Do you see what's going on in Sukkot? They're just lay people. They don't have it all figured out. But they're like, maybe they're not saying anything because he is the Messiah, and they see him as the Messiah, so they're letting him teach on Sukkot in the temple courts. Guys, I don't know how rich you think this is, but it's very rich. Okay? Come on, make believe you're in a football game, for God's sakes. Golly, what do you got to do in this town? Help me, Lord. Okay, let's go down to 737 to 38. Now on the last day of the festival, Hosana Rabba, the 7th day. It's not the 8th day. We're just leading up to this day. Okay? Yeshua stood and cried out, if anyone is thirsty. Man. I mean, some people thinking he's the Messiah, some people thinking he's of the devil, and he just stands up and he blurts this out. First of all, he's declaring himself to be the Messiah. He's making a public proclamation. He's saying, you've been praying for supernatural rain. Well, that supernatural rain is here. If anyone is thirsty, let him keep coming to me. Now notice it doesn't say keep coming to church. You don't need 400 sessions a week. You don't need midweek this and midweek that. Okay? Why don't you stay home and have a midweek service, for God's sakes? You're spending too much time getting ready. Sit at home and have a midweek service. Rabbi, I can't do that. I've only been saved 62 years. I need to study more. The woman at the well was saved not even 62 minutes, and she brought half the town to see him. He didn't say, come on to baptism. He didn't say, come on a theology. He said, come to me. Come to me. And come to me and drinking. Now, what's that? That's the present progressive grammatical tense, meaning what you drank 3 years ago, when you're on fire for God is not going to work for today. Some of you, I know, I love you. I love you so much you don't even know. You think I don't? I pray for you so much it's pathetic. And I love you so much, but when you're in high school, you were nuts for God, and now you're just nuts. Because you let all the busyness of life just suck it right out of you. And I understand we're all busy. I get it, guys, I get it. I hate technology, I hate it. I'm here to tell you I hate it. I know you're watching through technology, and I know there's a place for it, but it's jacked us up. It's taken the focus off. I don't care, nobody's going to convince me different. I know there's a place for it, but I don't care. We're too busy. We are too busy. In fact, I quit. So listen, drinking, I just want you to see it. And listen, understand, I love you, and I know you love me, and we're in this thing together. I'm busy, I'm crazy, and I have to find ways to connect with God too. I'm speaking to myself, guys. I'm not speaking to you. Whoever puts his trust in me, which is so crucial, trust. As the scripture says, rivers will flow out of us. I mean, where were we? Max, Zion National Park in southern Utah. There was a flood, and we tried to pass it. Good dad, huh? They closed, the park rangers closed it down. I said, oh, don't listen to them. Come with me, kid. And I got this kid trying to cross this river with mudslides. And if he would have got knocked down, it was over. So, do any of you want to send your kids with me on a trip? I just thought, we're only here once. I mean, if we get taken, maybe it'll be fun. But remember the gushing river? Remember? That's what Yeshua says will be coming out of us. A river, not Lake Tobo. That's a stagnant pond. Rivers. That's what he said. I'm just saying what he said. Thank you, Rosie. From deep within them. Not you can't get a river coming from here. It's like deep, and it's going to gush. But the key phrase is thirsty. If you're not thirsty, it won't happen. That's the key. You've got to be spiritually dehydrated. Have you ever been dehydrated? Anybody been dehydrated? Okay, I've been dehydrated a lot of times because I used to do certain things that cause dehydration. And you can't wait to get a cup of water. One time when I was in the hospital, 18 days, I couldn't drink any water. 18 days. And when I finally got out, after 18 days, I looked at the water. I didn't even drink it. I just held it. And then I just tasted it, and it was so delicious. Can you imagine if spiritually that's how you came to Messiah? Or I came to Messiah for that matter? Forgive me when I say you, it's not you. It's not you or you or you or you. It's me, it's us. Okay? To be in a dry and weary land where Yeshua becomes your oasis. It's a game changer. It's beyond theology, guys. And then verses 40 to 43, we're almost home. Trust me. On hearing his words, some people in the crowd said, surely this man is the prophet. Now, why did they say the prophet and not a prophet? Moses spoke in Deuteronomy 18:15 and 18:18 to the children of Israel saying, there is one coming after me. He's going to be like me, but he's even going to be greater. Some of you didn't listen to me. Listen to every word he says. He's the prophet. Why? A prophet speaks for God. The prophet speaks as God. Susie, you're writing, aren't you? Write that down. The prophet. Man, and you know what the crazy thing is? There's no New Testament written. So these Jews knew the Torah. There was no New Testament written. Guys, there's no gospel. It wasn't written for a long time. There's no epistles for sure because there's no Paul yet. They knew. They're like, could this be the one that Moshe, our boy, talked about? And this is great. You see how rich the Word of God is when you just take your time? But others said, there's always those others. There's always that big but. That big but always gets in the way. But others said, how can the Messiah come from Galilee? Doesn't the Tanakh, the acronym, the Torah, the Nevim and the Ketuvim, the prophets and the writings in the first 5 books, the Old Testament, doesn't the scriptures say that the Messiah is from the seed of David and comes from Bethlehem, the village where David lived? Doesn't it say that? Micah. Well, if these knuckleheads knew, they would realize that although he was from Nazareth, he was born in Bethlehem. So they were confused. They didn't know what they were talking about, which is very prevalent these days in the spiritual community. Everybody's talking. Everybody's blogging. Blog, 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 blog. Well, what I think? Who cares what you think? What does the scripture say? Look, I've got a big old aneurysm, and I could drop that any time, so I'm going to go for it. If I got to meet the Lord, I want to meet him swinging. So the people were divided because of him. What else is new? What else is new? Remember when he said, I didn't come to bring peace. I didn't come to bring peace. I came to bring a sword. Mother against daughter, father against son. How much do you love me? Yeshua didn't pull any punches, guys. He wasn't looking for churchgoers or praise people. He was looking for bondservants. He said, yes, it's going to cost you. He knew that those who believed in him, their parents would rip their clothing. I led a good friend of mine to the faith, a Jewish guy. His parents owned all the kiosks in all the department stores in New York City. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And Daddy tore his shirt and said, my son is dead. And out of the will, he was. A lot to give up, huh? See, it's a different world. In the Christian world, or in the Gentile world, when somebody comes to the faith, we have a party because we've been praying for him. In the Jewish world, they have a funeral. He knew they'd have to give up a lot, but he was pushing. How much do you love me? How much do you love me? And I think in the last days, we're all going to find out. Wow, this is really good scriptures. Now, it's still the 7th day, right? So when does the 8th day come? The next day. So this is the end of John 7. Let's go to John 8, and that would bring us to the 8th day. How do I know it's the 8th day? Because it says at daybreak. So it's a new day, right? See, I'm not making this stuff up. But Yeshua went to the Mount of Olives. After it was over, after Sukkot was over, he goes up to the Mount of Olives at daybreak, meaning dawn. He appeared again in the temple court where all the people gathered around him and sat down to teach them. Okay? So he's in the temple court again. It's the next day, the 8th day, which is a celebration, right? All the people are together celebrating, and he goes and he shows up on the 8th day, and he sat down and he teaches. Why is he teaching? Because he's a rabbi. That's why he's teaching. The 8th day is known as Zaman Simchatenu. It's also in the Mishnah. Okay? Sukkot 5, verses 2 through 4. It's the time of our great rejoicing. So here they are. It's the time of their great rejoicing because they just finished all the water pouring. They just finished praying to God for winter rains. They just finished praying to God for the Messiah to come. Their fall feasts are over. And he sits down. Now, this is what the Mishnah says, okay? There were 4 golden menorahs with 4 golden bowls at the top of each. So 4 golden menorahs with 4 golden bowls at the top of each stem. And 4 ladders. These were big menorahs. And ladders, each leading to one bowl, just one bowl, a ladder leading to a bowl. 4 strong young Kohanim would climb up with the pitchers, each holding 9 liters. 9 liters per bowl. That's a lot of oil, right? 9 liters. Anybody know a liter? It's a lot per bowl. 9 liters of oil which they poured into the bowls. This is what they said. There was not a courtyard in Jerusalem that was not lit up by the light. Okay, so it's the 8th day. It's the 8th day. It's at daybreak, so it's still dark. All of Jerusalem is lit up, and look at what he says in John 8:12. Now, I don't have to read it, but do you understand why it's so important for you to know the Old Testament? Do you understand why it's so important to know your Jewish roots? Do you understand why your Christianity is Judeo-Christianity? Without a doubt. Otherwise, you really won't really know the depths of what he was saying. And golly jeepers, he didn't say that much. So if we're following him, don't you think we really need to know what he's saying? What lucky beggars we are. Yeshua spoke to them again, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light which gives life. So Yeshua makes these two huge statements. Look, 7:38 and 8:12 of John. Whoever puts his trust in me, rivers of living water, and whoever believes in me, they'll have light. He's saying that we're going to be a channel of his presence, and we're going to shine forth his light to a dark and dying world. That's unbelievable. A channel, and I'm not talking about a channel, don't get all Ouija boarded out on me. I'm talking about that God would use us, that we would connect with Yeshua, okay, to the Father, and then connect with people, and God would use us to flow rivers of living water and to bring life to a dying world and to bring light to darkness. That's what makes the celebration so special. Because 8 is the number for new beginnings. And God could bring you to people to help them have a new beginning. As well as we could be spending time with the Lord and we could have a new beginning as well. Now, I could be a wise guy and say, okay, here comes the $64,000 question. The quintessential question. So now that the feast is over and we celebrated the feast and we camped, what are we going to do now? Right? And for that matter, what are we going to do after the conference that we go to, or after the retreat, or after the Shabbat service, etc., etc., etc.? Let me show you how rabbinic literature, and we are Judeo believers, okay? Let me show you what rabbinic literature, how they explain the 8th day. Put up that slide for me. Our Creator is like a host who invites us visitors for a limited time, right? When the time comes for us to leave, he has enjoyed himself so much that he asks us to stay another day. Just because those rabbis wear black hats and black suits, don't let them fool you, okay? Just because they don't wear cool Hawaiian shirts and cool watches, they get revelation. They get encounter. We get religion. Can you imagine that? God had such a good time with us for 7 days. He's saying, as you're packing up, can you stay one more? Whenever I go down and visit my best friends in Florida, I always want to stay one more. I hate to leave. As I'm driving down, I'm already dreading leaving. Because they're so beautiful, and they treat my kids so well, and they give us whatever we want, not that we ask, but whatever we want. They love us so much, better than family. And I just don't want to leave. Whenever I leave, I'm so sad. I'm just like, Lord, just please. I sleep 7 hours down there. I don't sleep nearly 7 hours, 3 or 4. I wake up, nothing's hurting me. They just want to bless us. And Sometimes you guys ask, and I'm going to be really real, how come you don't come out more? Because you won't let me just have a good time. You won't let me. You want to ask me, who are the 144,000 witnesses? I was reading in Revelation. Do you think Jacob really was a manipulator? You won't let me have a good time, but you're having a good time. I want to come out and hang out with you, but you won't let me. You won't let me. I want to. Do you know how many times I stay home and cry because I want to be there? I just want to talk like you guys, and I want my kids to play with your kids, and I want to just go, hey, that's really pretty. Did you see the sunset? You won't let me. I've tried, but you won't let me. So I got to hide. I just want to be a guy. And I want to have a normal family. I want to have a normal life like you guys have. Yeshua says, he who keeps coming. Guys, your rabbi does not have it all figured out. I've never purported to have it figured out, and there's much that I don't know. And there's a lot I don't understand, and there's a lot that my jury of my heart is still out on as I contemplate things of the Lord and things of the kingdom. But with that being said, my humble advice is to stay another day with the Lord. And then another, and then another, and then another. In other words, keep coming. Find a time to come on to the Lord, even if it's just to say, Father, I'm so spent. Please send Messiah soon. Father, I don't have so much figured out. Please help me. Father, I don't have nothing but you. This is where I am. Broken down so much that all I've got is you. And the world looks at me and says, God, the guy's got so together. Oh boy. Isaiah says at the very end of his prophecy, the Lord's throne room is the heavens. The earth is his footstool. What kind of place can you build that will attract me? But I'll tell you who's the one that comes on to me. You who are humble, dependent, you who are broken, desperate, and you who tremble at my word, you who love what I love, and you who hate what I hate. And that's where you find me. Needy, broken, and desperately trying to love what he loves and hate what he hates. I've got a long way to go. And you're pretty much the only family I got. So let's try to get there together, hey? Let's stand together. Well, that was cleansing. Somebody asked me, do I always have to be this transparent? And the answer is yes. And if you're looking for it to ever change, it's not going to happen. Okay? If it comes down to where it's just me and God, so be it. There's no reason to put on any games or any fronts. It just is not becoming to the Lord. Now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord lift up his very countenance. Wow. His countenance. Wow. The expression of his face. His very countenance upon you. And give you his peace. And we pray this in the name of the Prince of all Peace, Yeshua. Yevarechecha Adonai vayishmerecha. Yo'eh Adonai pono velecha vehunecha. Yisa Adonai pono velecha V'yasem lecha shalom. Not Shabbat Shalom. Chag Sameach.